Hello, I'm Haley Bursey, and my topic is the ecological view of environmental disturbances in Canada. I will be discussing one abiotic and one biotic disturbance, forest fires and insect outbreak. An ecological disturbance is a change in the environmental conditions that disrupts the prior structure and functioning of an ecosystem. They can range from a minor occurrence, such as a tree falling to the ground in the picture, to a major event, such as a hurricane or a forest fire hitting the coastline of a region. While disturbances are localized and temporary, their results can cause permanent changes in ecological communities if the ecosystem cannot tolerate the stress of the disturbance. However, not all ecological disturbances have a negative impact. Some can be beneficial to increase the productivity and biodiversity of an ecosystem. Ecological disturbances can cause ecosystems to undergo varying stages of succession, depending on the scale of damage. Primary succession occurs when an ecosystem has experienced a severe disturbance, one that has destroyed most or all of the original biotic factors. This process can take hundreds of years to fully restore the ecosystem. Secondary succession is when an ecosystem has experienced a disturbance, but there is still soil with existing seeds, roots, and nutrients. After a forest fire, the ecosystem must completely regenerate, beginning with pioneer species and progressing to a climax community. This allows the ecosystem to regenerate at a much quicker rate. Fire is a natural disturbance agent that has helped create the landscapes and national landscapes across the country. Larger ecosystems, like vast forests, require fire in order to restore and maintain ecological integrity. Fire releases nutrients that are in litter and woody debris on the forest floor. The woody fuels are reduced to ash and releases many nutrients into the soil. This flush of nutrients is then available to plants that reestablish in burnt areas. Fire affects the processes that occur in an ecosystem, what species live in the ecosystem, and how those species are arranged. A study of the effects of forest fires in the western boreal forest range in Canada stated that the structure after the fire was mainly sparse, dead standing wood and ash. This is a disadvantage for the ecosystems that were presently there and for the individuals that were killed and the vegetation destroyed. It can also affect how humans live and where and if they need to evacuate if the fire spread into residential areas, and it also causes a significant rise in pollution in the atmosphere. In the next clip, the negative impacts of forest fires on the human population is shown from a news clip in British Columbia.
As the planet warms, wildfire season is becoming longer and more intense, and that's right across the country. And the sad fact of the matter is that when a fire is this big, there's almost nothing you can do to stop it. Last year was BC's worst wildfire season, and this year is now the worst.
We may be in a situation now where things are just different, and that the resources that we have available just might not be enough.
While there are negative impacts that forest fires can have on an ecosystem, it can also have a positive impact that can be very rewarding for the ecosystems in a long-term period. Over time, the open space created by the disturbance in the boreal forest is filled with new vegetation and standing dead wood begins to fall. This transition from a canopy of residual structures to being dominated by young, even-aged trees. It increases biodiversity. Some trees and plants rely on fire to provide conditions for germination, while animals such as deer and elk thrive on the vegetation that grows on burned sites. Above in the picture is an example. Insect outbreak is a biotic disturbance that also affects forest ecosystems in Canada. Insects are usually attracted to a specific target species and then attack the aging and weak trees. Outbreaks do not occur in isolation. Typically, another ecological disturbance has taken place which has weakened the tree's natural defenses, allowing for the insect population to explode and infest a wide area. Like forest fires, this ecological disturbance can have positive and negative impacts on its ecosystem. The negative impact of insect outbreak is evident in the case of the pine beetle's impact on the lodgepole pine trees in British Columbia. Due to increasingly warm temperatures, the population of the beetles had exploded, killing vast expansions of trees across the province. Additionally, the beetle has begun to attack other tree species, such as a whitebark pine and lodgepole jack pine, and its geographic range had spread northward and into Alberta. The population of the trees has decreased significantly over a long period of time. The benefits of insect outbreaks include eliminating sick and old trees to allow younger, stronger trees to prosper without interspecific competition. As shown in the diagram, the younger trees are mixed with the older trees. Additionally, some insects cause trees to release nutrients stored within their trunks that benefits the surrounding community. In the following clip, the advantages and disadvantages of the pine beetle epidemic is shown.
They're small but capable of massive damage. The mountain pine beetle has destroyed 18 million hectares of BC's forests, helped by a warmer climate. Now research out of the University of Victoria has found that's exactly what's helping trees recover and starting to counter the carbon loss impacts of the province's devastating outbreak.
Positive characteristics of the gaps in vegetation also include increased growth rates, increased species diversity due to higher light levels, increased structural complexity due to young seedlings and dead and dying trees. This type of ecological disturbance is much less harmful in the short-term period. There are pros and cons to any situation or process, and ecological disturbances show how dynamic those effects can be.